Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is truly gifted, one of the most talented people on the planet right now, and I mean this 100% literally. She may be one of the best people in terms of generating social media attention and press, and again, I mean this literally. She would probably be one of the best marketing individuals for any company trying to figure out how to maximize viewership. She is fantastic at this. It's why she rapidly gains followers. Now, in the political space, I don't respect it. I get it. This is what we're seeing now, the clapback, snapback politician that generates attention and donation through emotional plays, essentially just really good PR. Donald Trump was really, really good at this, okay? He was really good at generating press for himself. The problem was it generated a ton of negative press with mainstream media. They saw it as an opportunity to play to their audience, Orange Man bad, Trump is awful, for a variety of reasons. Now, Trump deserves a lot of criticism, no joke, but Trump didn't deserve a lot of the fake news. Well, I'm sorry, Trump didn't deserve any of the fake news and the lies and the smears and the exaggerations. But Trump, in many ways, he did bring it upon himself. Yeah, I know, here I am blaming the victim. Oh, poor Donald Trump. Trump learned early on about how to game the media. I mean early, well, probably before I was alive, but in his presidency, when he was running, he knew how to generate free press. I think the estimate was $5 billion in free press for Donald Trump. We're now seeing a story this morning, a viral trend. Strangely, Michael Tracy, journalist. I think Michael Tracy is great. Had him on the IRL podcast once. I think he's a good dude. And he's trending nationwide at number 10, which is odd for him, because he criticized AOC for using emotionally manipulative content, essentially. Well, look, I'll put it this way. Right here's the story we have that's going viral so you can get an understanding of what's going on. Ocasio-Cortez describes hiding in her bathroom during riot, questions whether officer purposefully put her at risk. I listened to her story. And I can respect that she was terrified. And I've been in many extremely dangerous situations where I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if my life is at risk. And it really is hard to drive that emotion that you felt to another person to explain the story because they just won't get it. They weren't there. They just won't get it. I will say the weird thing is how she kind of derides this officer who actually tried to save her life. That's what I don't get. She makes it seem like this officer was scary and angry and coming at her. Is that because the left has just a natural predisposition against police officers? Because this I'll give you the long story short. Capitol police officer comes into her office and says, you need to go and get to another building. And she actually says he was scaring her and was angry. It's like, why would you do that? Like, this cop saved you. He's risking his life. A Capitol officer died in these riots. The people riding through these buildings were many of them were crazy. A lot of them were befuddled and bewildered. I digress. Listen, here's my point. I'll show you the latest a bit of AOC drama, I suppose, and fully admit before we even get started, we're trapped in this whirlpool, my friends. We are being sucked into the cyclone of AOC's ability to dominate the media. Right now, as most of you know, the story I really care about is the GameStop rebellion because I've been covering it incessantly. But I also must admit to myself, there's only so much I can say in one day. And as much as I want to make sure everyone's focused on what's happening with 8+ million people trying to short squeeze out hedge funds and stick it to Wall Street, at a certain point, we got to chill, let the news cycle carry on. But I can talk to you about the tactics of political and emotional manipulation and what people are saying about Michael Tracy, tribalism, agitprop, etc. Let me read you the story first and talk about what's going on with AOC. The Daily Caller reports Democratic New York Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez questioned Monday whether a Capitol police officer purposefully put her at risk during the Capitol riot. The New York Democrat took to Instagram Live to discuss her experiences during the January 6th rioting, when rioters supporting President Donald Trump stormed the U.S. Capitol, committing acts of vandalism and postponing the certification of the 2020 Electoral College results as members of Congress were forced to evacuate the building. Hide, run and hide. Ocasio-Cortez recalled one of her staffers telling her. After hearing loud banging on her office door, Ocasio-Cortez said she hid in her bathroom as she braced herself for her office to be breached. A man broke into her office. She said she could hear him yelling before and after he entered. Where is she? Where is she? I thought I was going to die. Ocasio-Cortez said. I have never been quieter in my entire life. Justice Democrats put out a clip of this video. Her staffer, G, then told her that it was safe to come out. She said, and she found that the man who had burst into her office was actually a Capitol police officer, who she described as a white man in a black beanie. She described the officer's attitude as seemingly full of anger and hostility. It didn't feel right, she said, because he was looking at me with a tremendous amount of anger and hostility. Things weren't adding up. There was no partner there. He wasn't yelling, "This is Capitol Police, this is Capitol Police." And he was looking at me in all of this anger and hostility, Ocasio-Cortez said. I do not fault AOC for being scared. And a lot of people are trying to drag her, saying, targeting her for emotional reasons, whatever. No, I don't care. Look, AOC clearly does not have the, what's the right word? I'm trying not to be disrespectful, but let's just be honest. She doesn't have the strength or fortitude of will to properly handle a situation like this. That is not meant to be disrespectful to her. I don't expect her to be a war veteran who's experienced crisis, and I don't expect her to be someone who's hardened from our inner city streets. AOC lived, I guess she was like upstate New York in the Bronx. Not the worst places in the world. I'm sure she has a general understanding of some kind of, what the street life can be like or whatever, but she is absolutely soft. Again, I'm not saying this to be mean, okay? Come on. Like, we're not going to sit here and pretend that AOC is a combat veteran or who has hostile environment training. So when she hears a bang on the door, she gets terrified. I can respect that. Not everybody is a soldier. And that's why we have warriors. And that's why we respect soldiers, because they're the ones who have the strength of will and the confidence. It's not even about, look, I'll tell you this, firefighters, cops, soldiers, combat or otherwise, medics, they get scared too. But the difference between being a coward and being brave is not whether or not you're scared, it's whether or not you overcome the fear. AOC was able to get out of the situation, and she was terrified of these police officers. Now, I will be critical in some respect. I think that we need to have, there's a reason I'm a fan of Tulsi Gabbard. She is a major in the National Guard. Plus, she's been just doing really, really awesome stuff in the past, couple of weeks, past month. She called out John Brennan and Adam Schiff as domestic enemies, and I'm just like, keep talking. I like it. But she's a major in the National Guard. I don't think she would be freaking out the situation. I don't want leaders in this country who are soft, wads of cookie dough. Okay, I want people who are carved from stone. Now, I recognize sometimes politicians are politicians. Politicians are not warriors. You're going to get what you're going to get. But to criticize the police, this is what really gets me with this story. A Capitol police officer rushed to your aid to help you escape as the rioters were breaking through the building. Why is your story about the cop deriding him? I'll also stress. Look, I don't care. Okay. I don't care. Do you care? I mean, how many people didn't even click this because they're like, so what? AOC, here we go again. But like I said, this is the current big trending story that I think having, breaking down and providing some context on would be relevant. And I want to make sure I stress, now is not the time, guys. AOC, now is not the time to be dragging her and insulting her, which is why I'm trying my best to be critical in some degree, but while respecting her fear of what was going on. I can certainly understand never being, the first time I was in a situation where someone pulled out a gun, I was actually kind of young, so maybe I wouldn't have the same reaction as someone who's 30, who's never experienced a real conflict or crisis. I can respect that she was probably having a massive adrenaline spike. I can. And I would simply ask the left and AOC, y'all, can we focus on the GameStop stuff and not make viral trends out of arguing over whether or not this cop was full of anger or whatnot? It is what it is. There's only so much I can do. But personally, I do feel that talking about what this viral trend is an opportunity to kind of re-inject that narrative and to make sure you keep focused on what's happening with Wall Street, the hedge funds, because this is where there's unity. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm going to go harder on AOC right now because I believe that what she's doing is one of the most dangerous things for this country right now. Well, maybe it's actually not. Maybe it's actually what she's doing in redirecting everyone's anger towards her. It's actually really good for this country. Ignorance is bliss, they say, right? And if regular people don't freak out and don't go after the GameStop stock and AMC and the short sellers and squeeze out these hedge funds, the system will carry on as always. The hedge funds will make their billions. They'll strip the value from the working class. The massive transfer of wealth will continue, and eventually it will lead to destabilization. It's possible that the GameStop rebellion could knock out a lot of these hedge funds, cause a massive SEC investigation, and then result in total destabilization. But maybe that's the right thing that needs to happen because it's called accountability. So long as AOC keeps making the viral trends about herself, it's great for her career, mind you. So, hey, man, you got to respect the hustle. But how are we supposed to focus on the things that matter when you have people like AOC manipulating you? And let me give a message to those leftists who do watch these videos, especially the ones who want to clip this stuff out of context. Would you be willing to forego what we're seeing right now as regular people rise up to challenge the hedge funds because you would prefer to talk about AOC snapping back at the haters and the haters snapping back at Michael Tracy? I wish we could keep the focus on that stuff. And that's my criticism of AOC. She derails the conversation. We're having a very important discussion about this country. We have the likes of Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball and Rashida Tlaib agreeing with the likes of the Patriots.win, the former Donald Trump subreddit, and Donald Trump Jr. and Mike Cernovich and conservatives, all sitting there looking at each other saying, you know what, we got something bigger going on. And AOC steps in immediately. And what does she do? She claims that, Ted Cruz was trying to have her murdered. Check this out. Rep. Chip Roy calls on AOC to apologize for tweeting Cruz almost had me murdered. This is my criticism of Ocasio-Cortez. She's too good at what she does. I know. You're like, Tim, stop. No, listen. She is probably one of the best marketing people I've ever seen. We have this grand moment where Ted Cruz. So let me slow down. Here's what happens. The GameStop thing is happening. AOC tweets, I wish it was a stronger statement, but I'll give her respect for calling it out, saying, Robinhood suspended trading. I'll call a hearing if necessary. If necessary, no, call a hearing. OK, now there's going to be a hearing. We don't need if necessary. We need you to do it. But I do appreciate her calling it out. Right. Ted Cruz responds saying fully agree. And she responds taking everything about this grand moment where the left and the right are unified in targeting the hedge funds and Wall Street and the corrupt elites who are stripping away the value from the working class. And she says, you almost had me murdered. Boom, like that. Many on the left and the establishment who don't want to see Wall Street hurt, and they want the game to continue because they're taking from you. Many of these people shifted their eyes from the GameStop rebellion to AOC. She is a master of gaining that attention and taking it away from things that are more deserving and more important, which is why it's so fascinating to see that yesterday she does this stream. It's 1.4 million views or whatever, where she talks about what happened. Of course, she's absolutely allowed to. And like I said, you got to respect the hustle. Some people just have the ability to get the eyes on them. And she certainly has it. She has it in spades. And it's a problem for us. If we're easily distracted by tabloid style news, well, then we're not going to actually solve any of these problems. It breaks my heart a little bit because it makes me feel like maybe we can't. Maybe people prefer drama of, Michael Tracy and AOC and Ted Cruz than talking about what really matters. AOC certainly does. I'm not trying to be mean to her. I have disagreements and I don't like what she does. Right. And I think it's fair to point out. When she comes out and she does these videos talking about herself all the time, and she does it all the time, it shifts the focus to her. She gains more followers. Yeah, that is. Look, she has given you a masterclass in being a politician. It's the last thing we need. I remember the days of Occupy Wall Street and how identity politics destroyed what should have been a class war by making it an identity war. It was brilliant on the part of the establishment. People came down, activists, and started telling the white people they were wrong and weren't allowed to speak, and that disrupted the effort. In the end, some banks moved money to credit unions. A lot of people moved money to credit unions. It was a big boost for nonprofit banking institutions, credit unions. But it could have been more. People were holding up signs challenging the big banks and the establishment that strips your value. There's a theory going around right now on Reddit where they're talking about GameStop and they're saying what they think is happening, and I'll give you the very simple layman's terms, is that these hedge funds have been illegally selling stock that doesn't exist, essentially counterfeiting, to put it simply. And that if the GameStop people continue to hold, they will expose all of these institutions, triggering an SEC investigation, and people may go to jail. That's only if people stay focused on it. What breaks my heart is that it looks like people just want the tribal warfare. They want the video of, AOC and Ted Cruz, and AOC tweets about Ted Cruz and murder, and these people just eat it all up. They don't care. I guess the drama is more fun. Life is boring. It breaks my heart. Let me show you something. Here's a tweet from me. I said, wow, Michael Tracy trending number 10 in the U.S. Y'all must be bored. There's a huge snowstorm. Go sledding or make snow angels. The trending tab says, Michael Tracy, journalist Michael Tracy's tweet sparks controversy for referencing emotional manipulation in describing the content of Ocasio-Cortez's Instagram Live. And he actually said, this is a masterclass in emotional manipulation, a genuine political rhetorical skill. Got to hand it to her. I 100% agree. I've basically been agreeing with him the entirety of this the segment. And they went after him for it. Well, maybe I wouldn't say manipulation. I think AOC just has it naturally. I don't think she decided to do a video because she wanted to divert eyes from GameStop or that she wanted to she planned it out. There are some people who just do it. They know how to make content. They know how to speak. They know how to generate attention. And from this, you see personalities rise. Michael Tracy himself, a journalist, knows how to generate attention. And he does it through journalism. He's also fairly anti-woke and heterodox. He's not conservative in any capacity. Obviously, you can say, I know how to generate attention as well. And a lot of people don't like it. They say, oh, certain words are put in caps or whatever. Hey, look, man, it's all about an attention economy. I guess the main issue for me is that AOC is doing this in a political space. And in my opinion, the political space should probably chill out and be about people coming together, sitting down and having conversations to solve our problems. AOC, along with Trump, have turned it into a TV drama. Well, Michael Tracy gets roasted, and I don't even think this is the main tweet, but he kind of went to town. He got one where he got ratioed 20. Here we go. Okay, so this is a tweet. 2,700 responses and 1,100 retweets. That's called a ratio, my friends. Let me point something out. It's not the biggest ratio we've ever seen. I've been ratioed harder than that. Not in a bad way, though. I once tweeted a poll. Who do you trust more, the mainstream media or the government? And I got 20,000 responses from people nah. All right. Let me just show you this final piece. Obsessing over AOC only boosts her profile and her terrible ideas. From the New York Post yesterday. And this is from, I believe, before she did the stream. This is from Carol Markowitz. What will it take for Republicans to stop putting a socialist lawmaker in the spotlight, either by lamely attempting to cooperate with her or succumbing to the temptation to savage her inane online effusions, or both, and thereby helping boost her profile? Last week, in the midst of GameStop mania, Senator Ted Cruz retweeted AOC saying, I agree. It wasn't the first time Ted Cruz had gone out of his way to signal his agreement with AOC. In May 2019, Cruz signaled his concurrence with her call for a lifetime ban on lawmakers from becoming lobbyists. Here's something I don't say often, Cruz tweeted. On this point, I agree with AOC. Indeed, I have long called for a lifetime ban on former members of Congress becoming lobbyists. The swamp would hate it, but perhaps a chance for some bipartisan cooperation. And the pair did cooperate, working on a bill together that went nowhere. It's unfortunate, mind you. This time, though, she body slammed Cruz in response. I am happy to work with Republicans on the issue where there's common ground, but you, Cruz, almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago. So you can sit this one out. Happy to work with almost any other GOP member. This was crazy to me. We have bipartisan unity, a nonpartisan issue, where Ted Cruz and AOC, who should not be getting along, had an opportunity to say, at least on this, we agree. And I saw tons of high-profile left-wing personalities just start tweeting at her like slay queen and you get him. And I'm like, is that what you're worried about? Look, Ted Cruz has his problems, but Ted Cruz is a cog in the machine, same as AOC. Can we focus on the bigger issues at play? Apparently we can't. And this is what really depresses me in all of this. Maybe we are just self-obsessed drama queens who would prefer to hear AOC and Ted Cruz snap back at each other instead of dealing with the actual problems that are affecting our country. And there you go. They say Cruz was understandably outraged, but what did he expect? Ocasio-Cortez is pointedly not a friend of anyone on the right. She's barely even a friend of Democrats. She's in the House to be outraged and to be outrageous. She's a self-described democratic socialist. Her purpose is to destroy the Ted Cruzes of this world and everything they stand for. So why is he even bothering? You see, here's the problem. I will try to be respectful to AOC, but she will not return that. She will then say, I should not be respectful to people who tried to have me murdered, put her hands on her hips. If there's no communicating with the likes of AOC and the Democratic Socialists and the Squad, if there's no likes of actually negotiating on something we can agree with, when we're clearly staring down the barrel of the GameStop rebellion, an opportunity to actually have something done, or I should say the barrel of disrupting it, AOC derails and derails and derails. When will the left realize she is poisoning their chance to actually have meaningful change? My props to Rashida Tlaib, who said no new national security powers and who called out Robin Hood. I think Rashida Tlaib is substantially more legit. Actually, I'll put it this way. I think Rashida Tlaib has bad opinions most of the time, and I don't like when she yelled, impeach the MFer, but I think she's legit. I mean it. I absolutely do. I think she believes what she says. I think she's there because she wants to demand change for the things she wants. I don't agree with the changes she wants, but I can respect her in her and what I believe to be, for the most part, for now, I can say this, seems to be genuine. And I respect it 100%. And where we agree, I will thank, respect, and ask her to continue and carry on. Rashida Tlaib, please get these hearings. I know they're going to happen, and challenge those who try and expand federal national security powers. And I will give you all the respect in the world for these moves. And I will criticize you when I disagree with you. I respect it. AOC has continually just made it about herself. And that's why she's going to keep succeeding at it, because she knows the game better than anyone. And now the left is going to these tribal leftists will pull clips out of this segment and they'll pull it out of context and they'll try to whip you up into tribal rage so that you hate me, so that you hate other conservatives. Meanwhile, we're all desperately begging you to focus on what's happening with the hedge funds. It's the opportunity for Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump supporters to completely agree, for Donald Trump Jr. and Rashida Tlaib to completely agree on this issue, not anything else. But shouldn't that be enough to bring us together? We are facing a very serious conflict in this country. People are fighting in the streets. People have been killed in many different circumstances. And we do not want a massive outbreak of civil unrest, civil conflict, or even civil war. We want to find a way we can come together. And after we unify around this common enemy, the crony establishment that is stripping the value from the working class, and listen, about to send them to go live out in the streets because they won't get the $2,000 stimulus check out. Biden won't do it. We have to deal with AOC. I don't care if you like her, but now's not the time. So listen, let's just be straight with y'all. I mentioned this earlier. There's only so many videos I can make about GameStop and what's currently happening. I can just tell you and remind you it exists. But I will make sure to bring it up at every chance and point out, while this may be the big drama and it's what people want to hear about, I will use this as an opportunity to explain to you why it should not be what you want to hear about. And I hope you're focused on the real battle. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.